All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to GSD Part 2, Day 8, Staying Motivated. Man, I'm not going to lie. That was such a groovy song. I kind of just want to cancel the episode and just grooving out with the music. I can't do that, right? We all have work to do. All right. Anyway, welcome everyone back to another episode of GSD with Tanwa, Part 2, Day 8. Yay. Good afternoon. So today we're talking about this thing, staying motivated. Right. So in case you are new to this series, this is Getting Shit Done with Tanwa. And Tanwa, that would be me. So this is part two. In part one, we talked about how to get better with English, which is one of the main problems that I have seen in graduate students that prevent them from graduating on time. The other main problem that I usually see is the problem with doing research, right? And that's this is part two right here, is trying to address those problems in doing research. And how to stay motivated is probably one of the most common questions I have ever heard um, from graduate students. And I feel you, guys and girls. I totally feel you. Okay. I was there in your shoes not so long ago, right? Like I told you, I graduated from my PhD, like, oh, I don't know, like 5 years ago, right? So I spent 12 years in the US, 3 years doing master, 4 years doing PhD, which is slow in case you didn't notice, right? Typically, most people, well, in physics, it's pretty common, but typically most people would get master and PhD together within 5 or 6 years, right? But I got it in 7 years. So I graduated slow, right? I graduated late. Um, and I'm not even gonna try to put myself in a good light. I was not motivated, right? If this is how you're feeling right now, especially higher year student, like the people in maybe second or third year in their PhD program, if this is how you feel right now, one, you feel like you want to quit. Every day you just wake up and you be like, should I quit? Right? If that is you, I understand. I've been there. Right? Or if every day you wake up and you be like, oh my God, I am so stupid. I have no idea what my advisor is saying. I have no idea what my lab mates are saying. I have no idea what my friends are saying. I feel you. I've been there. Right? I was probably the dumbest student my advisor has ever had. Hi, Cass. If you ever get on this channel, yes, I was pretty dumb. So if you're feeling that way, I feel you, guys and girls. Or if you ever wake up every day and be like, well, I am doing my PhD or master's right now, but I have no idea what I'm going to do afterward. And then you just kind of sit there and be like, oh my God, I am almost 30 and I still don't have a job. I'm still a student trying to get my advanced degrees and I don't even know what I'm going to do afterward. I feel you. I have been through all of that. And today we're going to talk about how I got out of it. Because obviously, eventually I graduated, right? PhD in physics. Whoop, whoop, for those science students who are in this channel. Eventually I graduated, but man, it was like a rough period of my life. Right? So today we're gonna talk about what happened to me. So again, this series is mostly my own experience as a graduate student, right? So I'm just trying to share what works for me, and still does work for me. And if that helps you, great. If that doesn't help you, well, share or figure out, what would help you. So let me start. So like I told you, I feel what most of you are feeling right now, right? Whether you are demotivated because you think you're dumb, whether you are demotivated because you don't know what the hell you're gonna do with your life afterward. I feel you because I was in the same shoes, right? I was 27, 28. So by the time I was 27, 28 year old, right? I was in my 5th year of the whole master PhD program. I should have graduated then to graduate on time. I didn't. Why? Because at that point, I was stupid. My advisor didn't think I was ready to graduate because I was dumb. And I totally agreed with him. Like I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Right. So that was hard. That was like a tough period of life when you eventually realize how stupid you are. right? And I was down, man. I was down bad. I was super demotivated, um, depressed. Don't know what the hell. Didn't know what the hell I was gonna do with my life. And then being a government scholar, so some of you might not know, I was a um, Thai government scholar. Right. So if you had paid tax at all, some of your tax money went to me when when I was studying in the U.S. Um, yeah, so I knew that when I got back to Thailand, I will probably have work, but I don't know where that would be. Right? I don't know what it will be. It might be in the university, it might not be. And I just did not like it too much. Not gonna lie, right? Because all the stories that I have heard up until that point is that being a university lecturer in Thailand is not so fun, right? So I was dumb. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, even though I might have a job by the time I graduate. I probably wouldn't like it, right? And then I was just not motivated in general because I didn't see the point of doing the degrees anymore. Right. So let me tell you my story. I got a scholarship since I was in high school. Right. So the government paid for my M4, M5, M6. I was doing physics. It was super fun. Everything was super exciting. Every new things that I learned, it was like eye opening. It got to the point that to me, when I was in high school or in undergrad, physics was this thing that opened my eyes to the wonder of the world, right? You get to understand everything in the world at the most basic, fundamental level. And it was exciting. And then I got to undergrad. First year, fantastic, right? Everything was super easy. I got like straight A's the first year. And then second year happened, undergrad. Man, it happened fast. I still remember it. So I got straight A's in my first year, well, except for one class, but we're not going to talk about that. In my second year, I got a little cocky. I was like, oh, I'm really good at physics. I'm just going to take harder classes. So I went to this professor and I told him, hey, I want to take this like advanced mechanics class. And he was like, I don't think you'll be ready for it. And I said, well, just let me try it because, like I got a really good grade in the first year. And he said, the class is supposed to be for third and fourth year student, not second year student. And I said, no, that's not a problem. I would just, work hard. And that was the class that made me realize sometimes working my hardest is not the solution. Right? So midway through that semester, I dropped the class. It was way too fucking hard for me. And then I gave myself an excuse. I said, that class was supposed to be for third and fourth year student. I was just second year student. Obviously, I was not ready for it. Right. So then second year came along and then, things happened. And third year came along. I took that class again. Still fucking hard. Didn't get any easier. I almost failed it. Right. And at that point, I realized that I was not smart at all. I'm still not smart. I'm still pretty dumb. Right. So at that point, let's recap. I knew that I was dumb. I was demotivated about the job prospect. And I just didn't like physics anymore because like it got way too abstract, right? When you're in high school, like physics, chemistry, and biology, like everything just kind of makes sense. Because when you study biology, it's like, oh, this is how kangaroos work, or this is how like human body works. And then you get to advanced biology and you're like, oh, this is how this cell merge into this cell that's split into 5 other cells. And then you go, why the hell do I need to know that? Right. But that's the level of material that you're going to have to deal with in PhD, right? Or master, right? Graduate studies, basically. So I was dumb. I was not interested in physics anymore. I did not like my job prospect. So I did the only rational thing that I could have done, which is I bought a Harley Davidson. So again, this is just my story, right? So I'm just gonna tell you what happened, and you can learn from this story. So I bought a Harley Davidson 1200 cc. Yeah, let me show you what it looks like. Um, so it's sort of like a midlife crisis, if you know what that is, right? I just like did not know what the fuck I want to do with my life, and I just like, you know what? I'm just gonna get a huge ass motorcycle and just go ride around. Maybe that would solve problem. Well, it didn't, but it was cool. It was fun. Hold on, let me pull up some photo. Ah, this one looks good. Looks just like the one I had. This one, right? So I was demotivated from study. So I did I did the only rational thing that any students would have done, which is like stop working, stop studying, and went out and buy a Harley Davidson and just go ride around in a motorcycle. Right? And to my advisor's credit, he did impress me. Like I disappeared from the lab for like days at a time. Like didn't show up to work, didn't do anything, just go ride around on my motorcycle. Hopefully, hoping that something will be fixed because now I got this cool motorcycle. Well, it didn't work. Let me tell you that right now. Um, so after a few months of riding around on my motorcycle and having fun, that when things start to came around, right? Because this is probably what you do as well. Like I bet most of you who are not motivated right now or losing your motivation, you probably like, I don't know, go on social media, watch a lot of movies, Instagram, Facebook, eat a lot. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do when you're stressed, but I bought a motorcycle and I ate a lot of hamburgers. Yeah. So so that should tell you that it happens to everyone. All right. I throughout my years of studying in the PhD program, I always ask students like what do they feel like being in the program. Out of all the students that I have asked, about almost 100 of them, ranging anywhere from humanities, the arts, social studies, science, engineers, out of 100 something people that I asked, only two people actually said that they have never been demotivated at all. Like they love what they're doing. They feel like they're in the right job. They are in the right field of study. The rest of them just like, oh my God, I don't know what the hell I'm doing with my life. And one of that person is also me, right? So what the first thing that you should know if you feel demotivated right now is that you're not alone. Right? You're not alone. Do not be afraid to talk to your friends about it. Right? Because your friends are your biggest supporters, right? Your friends know what you're going through. People in your lab, people in the same program, people in the same university, right? Go talk to them. Go talk to them and be like, hey, dude, I woke up this morning and I did not want to come to work at all. And I did that. I did that with my friends in the lab as well. Like, hey, dude, I didn't want to come to work at all today. And then you both can talk about it because your friends obviously know better how you feel than any other people because they are in the same fucking program, right? So that should at least give you some emotional support, right? That is a short-term solution to get you through the day, right? So that would be my first recommendation. The easiest thing you can do is to talk to your friends, right? The second thing that you can do to get back and be motivated again, or if you are already motivated, to stay motivated, is this very advanced technique of learning, which is called just fucking show up. I'm, I'm going to be a little mean right here. Just fucking show up to the work, right? So after I bought my motorcycle, right, this one, so again, and I went around and ride around for like a few months. Eventually I came around. I was like, well, you know what? I'm just running away from the problem, right? So I sold the motorcycle and then made a commitment, right? I made a commitment that um, whatever happened, regardless of how demotivated I am with the work, with the study, regardless of how much I did not want to see the advisor, because that would just remind me of how dumb, stupid, and pointless my study is, I would show up to work every day. Every single fucking day, I would show up, right? Just show up with the condition that if you show up, you are not obligated to work, but you can't go anywhere else, right? So just show up to the lab, just show up to the office, right? And eventually, the logical side of you will kick in, right? If you keep showing up to the work every day, the logical side of you will kick in and you will start doing the work. Because what are you going to do in the lab? Just sit around watching Netflix all day? You're not going to do that because you have a lot of things going on, right? For one, you have peer pressure going on, right? And by human nature, humans are competitive as shit. If you see your friends work, you're not just going to sit around and watch movies, right? So right off the bat, you see your friends working, you feel like you're not alone in this world anymore, and you're gonna start working as well, right? And by second human nature, you always want to be better, right? That's one thing you have to remember, right? If you are depressed and demotivated right now, that's not because you are stupid. You just feel that way. Let me put that again. Let me say that again. I felt stupid at the time. I felt like I was the worst fucking student ever. But I was not stupid because eventually I graduated, right? You just feel that way. You are not that way. Because stupid is an episode, right? It's an episode before you became something else. Like everyone was stupid at some point. My English was shit at some point, right? Go watch my part 1 again when I talked about how bad my English was, right? My English is still pretty bad, but it has since gotten better, right? Because I didn't give up. Right? I just showed up. Every day I showed up to that goddamn party, embarrassed myself because I couldn't speak English. Every single fucking party, Tanwa would show up, even though nobody wanted to hang out with me because I couldn't speak English. But I kept showing up. I just kept showing up to parties to improve my English. I kept showing up to work, even though I thought I was the stupidest fucking students that lab has ever seen. But I just kept showing up. Like, do not give up, right? You feel stupid, but you're not, right? It's an episode before you become great, hopefully. Because some of you are just hopeless. I'm just kidding. But no, that's really a true story, though. If you talk to any person who has ever been successful at all, they will tell you how stupid they felt or even feel at some point. Every day, I still wake up and feel stupid as shit. It's just something you have to get used to. And the people who got PhD, like especially really good researchers, you can go talk to them. All the good researchers will say that they feel stupid every single time they discover new things, because that means there are more things to figure out, right? So again, you're not stupid, you just feel that way. And the only way to get out of that feeling of being stupid is just to show up to work. I didn't say work, right? We will get to that point. I just said every day, just make commitment, show up to work. If any of you are trying to lose weight, it's the same concept, right? Going to the gym or going out on that run, that's the hardest part of losing weight. I guarantee you. Just showing up to that gym, just showing up to that run is the hardest part of being motivated and get better, right? Because I mean, if you make a commitment to go to the gym, once you get to the gym, what are you going to do? Like walk into the gym and walk out? You're not going to do that. Like by human nature, if you have committed yourself to going to the gym, once you get to the gym, you'll be like, oh, okay, maybe I would do 15 minutes of something, right? Regardless of how lazy you are, you will just like, oh, I would just do 15 minutes of this. Guess what? that 15 minutes put you closer to the goal than if you didn't show up at all. Right? So just show up. Right? I haven't talked about showing up to work yet. I just said just show up to the goddamn place. Right? I realized that this is harder with COVID and everything because you're not getting to go to the lab or all of that stuff, right? Um, and and I understand that it is harder. I understand it is harder with COVID because everything is online and you just kind of sit at home by yourself and then you don't have a commitment to do anything, right? So you feel like, oh my God, how am I going to commit to just showing up? Well, guess what? People have solved the problem. Live stream your self study. People do it all the time. Plenty of people are doing it. Like,
ทำไมแพตตี้ถึ
well,
งดู
this
ห
is
น้า
an
เด็ก
ad.
หน้าใส
So just wait a little bit.
ๆเพราะนี่ไงโฟม
YouTube's
ล้างหน้า
getting
ดร
mine,
มนตรี
yes.
เนื้อโฟมละเอียดหนานุ่มฟูช่วยลดความมันป้องกันสิวล้างรถ
Shut up. We're just gonna wait for the ads to be over. There you go. Another one. Fantastic. All right. So this person, I don't even know who this is, but this one I've seen this one before. She's like a nuclear reactor physicist or something, right? Look at the video. That's like 9 hours of study, man. That's like 9 hours of her just doing the work, right? So there are ways to make that commitment, right? Even though it's just I need to stop showing off my old motorcycle, aren't I? There are ways to commit yourself to showing up to work, right? You can live stream your self study. You can make a commitment with your roommate if you have a roommate of like, hey, bestie, I'm gonna sit my ass on this chair at this table and study from 10 to 12, right? Make sure I do that. Make sure I don't watch Netflix. Make sure I don't watch YouTube, right? Make sure I study and just sit your ass down and just do it. Just do it. Okay. We will talk about what to do when you get distracted in a little bit. But at this point, I just want you to realize that showing up to work is the single greatest thing you could do for your career, right? Never ever not show up, right? Always show up, even though you show up and you don't work, right? We will talk about showing up to work and not to work in a little bit, but at this point, just realize showing up is one of the most important things you could do to stay motivated or get back into the work if you are demotivated. All right. So that's showing up to work. Next, well, what do you do if you show up to work and you're just like, I really don't want to do this? And you just show up to work and you're like, I really don't want to touch that microscope. You show up to work and you go, I really don't want to work on that equation. And it happens, right? And let me guess, most of you would say, I showed up. Isn't that enough? I don't really feel like working today. I'm just going to relax a little bit and watch YouTube or watch Netflix or scroll on social media. I'm not saying those are bad. Those are fantastically wonderful entertainment. But that wouldn't help with shit at all. So again, right? Showing up is the single greatest thing you could do to stay motivated. But then if you show up and you don't want to work, do not succumb to stupid, easy distraction. I did that. That's why I know it doesn't work, right? There have been days that I showed up to the lab and just watched YouTube on random shit. If you know me in person, you know that I have a lot of random knowledge, like a lot of them. Like I know about like old English literature. I know about old European cuisine, even though I'm a physicist, right? I know about mythological creatures in Norwegian folklores. Why? Because I distracted myself with YouTube when I was not motivated to do my study, right? I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying watching YouTube is bad, but watching YouTube when you have to commit to work is bad if it's an easy distraction, right? So if you are like me, if you are a physicist and you start watching YouTube in, I don't know, K-pop music videos, well, that's not gonna work, is it? Because you just show up to work and waste your time. You're just changing the location of watching YouTube, right? That's not gonna work. Let me tell you what worked for me, right? So at that point, I was committed to showing up to work every day. But then every time I showed up, I felt like I did not want to work. So I went to like Netflix and YouTube and watched stupid random shit. So after a few weeks of doing that, I was like, this is not going to work, right? Just showing up alone is not enough, because what's going to happen is that if you show up to work and your friends are with you, you're going to pretend that you work, right? So you will get something done, right? Which is better than not showing up at all. So your friends will pressure you to work a little bit, but as soon as your friends step away, you will go back to that YouTube so fucking fast. It's not funny, right? So let me tell you what worked for me, right? Do not succumb to easy distraction. If you show up to work, you only have 3 choices that you can do, right? You can only have 3 choices that you can do, right? The first one is work, right? Just work on the shit that you're supposed to work. Just go, put your nose down and grind, right? But then you're like, well, if I can do that, then I wouldn't be listening to you, would I? Well, correct, right? The second option that you can do at work when you show up to work is to do relevant things, to do things that make your work easier. And we all do this, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's actually very quite fantastic, right? So for example, I would show up to the lab and I know I have to run these measurements, but I didn't want to do it because it's hard and it takes a lot of time. I would start cleaning the lab, right? And by cleaning, I'm not just saying like sweeping the floor, organizing shit, right? I'm saying like optimizing things, right? Optimizing things, right? Not just basic cleaning. Like not the things, not to talk down to the maids, all right? Maids are wonderful, right? They clean stuff and, you know, they make things sparkly, and that's fantastic. But by saying cleaning, I don't just mean surface cleaning. I'm talking optimizing your work environment, right? For example, when I started in the lab, I only had 2 monitors, right, for my computer. And I knew there was an extra monitor in another room that is not connected to the current computer, right, that I was working with. But to connect that monitor to the computer would take a lot of rewiring of the table, right? Because I needed to get a better outlet with more power, and then I have to guide the wire in a certain way so that it doesn't look messy. And that would take a lot of effort. So I usually just put it off until I got to this point of my life in which I committed to showing up, but I didn't want to work. And I go, you know what? It would be great to work with 3 monitors, right? So on days that I feel really like I didn't want to work at all, I would start optimizing my work environment, right? So I put in, for example, an extra monitor. So I had 3 monitors. By the time I graduated, I had 7 monitors, man. I had 7 monitors running, and I needed all of them because it helped my work faster, right? Another thing, like optimization can go a long way, right? I'm going to talk about the science people first, and then I'm going to talk about the social science people, the humanities people, on what you could do, okay? Hold on, let me try to find something. So for science people, you can like put in new monitor, clean up your clutter desktop on your computer, reorganizing folder for your work, reorganizing database, rewiring the table, uh, what else? You can write documentation for your lab, right? So obviously you might not be working alone, and sometimes you share like equipment with your friends, like your lab mates, for example, right? And sometimes you run into the problem of, hey, how do you use this thing? I forgot, right? So those are really good optimization tasks for your lab because as you write down the documentation of those equipments, you will get to learn the equipment better as well, right? So even though you're just still kind of procrastinating from the main work that you should be doing, at least you're studying something relevant to the lab, right? I have cleaned a mechanical pump. I have learned how to do a mill and lathe machine, if you don't know what that is, so that I can machine things for the lab, right? So a mill machine is this thing, so you can manufacture stuff from metal. I have used the lathe machine, right, which look like this, right? And I did that because I didn't want to work on the main job, so it's like, oh, I'm just gonna learn all these things that could be useful for the lab, right? And forcing yourself to do all these optimization tasks eventually will allow you to go back to the main task um, with better knowledge because now you know the equipment better. Your work environment is better. Another thing that I did was automated the shit out of everything, right? My measurement uh, to run one single measurement in my lab would take about 2 minutes, which is horrible, right? 2 minutes is long enough for you to get anxious, wanting to go do something else because it's 2 minutes, right? That's quite a bit of time, but it's not long enough for you to be doing anything else much, really, right? So earlier in my study years, I would just like scroll through social media because it's only 2 minutes. Don't do that, right? So eventually, I wrote a script that automated the whole sample taking part, right? It would like automatically change the parameters that I want to change and then run it, take the data, and then cool down because I needed the cool down period. And then, just run it again automatically. So I don't have to control it anymore. Right. And the two people before me, since they were so goddamn motivated with the study, they just sat there and wait and just click the button, change the parameters by hand, click the button, and they were fine doing it. But I was not motivated. So I came up with a way to automate things, right? So made my life easier, basically. Right? And that was fantastic because as soon as I have automated the task, I now had more time to go do other things. I can go optimize something else. I can go work on something else. I can go work on my thesis, right? So that's for science people. If you are in social sciences though, or you only work with computer, right? If you are engineer or data science or whatever, well, shit, there's a lot of things that you can do, man. Optimization, for example, writing thesis. What kind of tools are you using to write your thesis? Can you plan ahead? Can you start writing your thesis now, right? We will talk about writing thesis when we get to the writing part. And writing thesis is the one thing that I can guarantee you that I was on top of it. I wrote my entire thesis in 1 month, just straight front to back, 1 month done. Get that shit done and just move on with my life, right? Because at that point, I was like a productivity machine, right? But we'll get to that part, right? But for social science people, you can optimize a lot of things. Optimize your thesis writing. Learn Microsoft Word better. This is one of the most annoying things that I have seen from graduate students. You all don't know how to use Microsoft Word. Use the style of formatting because your advisor will be like, oh, can you make all the titles underlined? And then you're going to have to go back and do what? Like format it one by one, learn the goddamn style formatting in Microsoft Words, right? And those are the things that you do on the days that you don't want to work, right? Just go learn Microsoft Word, go learn LaTeX, go learn Zotero, go learn citation management, go read papers, right? Another thing that I did was read papers that are relevant to the things that you are doing. Right? Just find something, regardless of how far away from your actual research topic is. Just read something, because I guarantee you, everything that you read will be useful in one way or another, right? If you are a trader, hi Tan. If you are a trader, you have heard me talking about expectation value, right? Reading things that are in your big field of study. For example, if you are a physicist, you read something in physics, regardless of how far away it is from your main topic, it has zero or positive expectation value, right? Zero expectation value of utility is the minimum usefulness you will get. So worst case scenario of you reading something is that you never use it again, right? But best case scenario is that it will save your ass in your thesis defense, right? And one of the papers that I actually just read on my lazy days actually got used by me in my thesis defense, right? Because this one committee member just asked something that's like, oh, isn't this like related to medical imaging of this thing over here? And I was like, oh, yes, exactly. Because I have read that paper, right? Imagine if I didn't read that paper, I wouldn't even know what the hell medical imaging has to do with atomic physics, right? All right, so that's the second option that you can do on the days that you don't want to work, right? Show up and you either, number one, just work, just grind, man, just do it, right? Or two, optimizing, right? Optimizing, learn relevant things. And if those two options don't work, right, I hope it works. But if they don't work, option number three is rest. And I'm not talking watching YouTube. I'm not talking watching Netflix, right? You should either, when you are at work, you either work or rest, right? So you either work your ass off, number one, or two, optimizing, or three, just rest. And by rest, you can only do two things. You can either sleep or eat, right? Sleep or eat. That's it. Because trust me, if you only do these three things at work, eventually you will get work done some way or another. Because I mean, how much are you going to eat? You can't eat that much. You can't eat all day. You can't sleep all day, right? Eventually you have to get your ass up and be like, you know what? I'm going to connect that other monitor because I only have three options of things to do, right? So that would be my recommendation. So again, showing up to work is the single most useful commitment device that you can use. And once you have shown up to work, do not go on social media for crying out loud. That's the one thing that I didn't do because I didn't even have social media, right? Back then it was just Facebook. So I didn't even have Facebook. So I didn't have that problem. But I went on YouTube and Netflix a lot. Don't do that, right? So show up, work, optimizing, or just rest. That's it. If you only do these three things at work, eventually you will get better. Why would you get better? Because, again, by human nature, right? By human nature, you don't want to be where you are. And this is the point that I want to stress today. If you feel more demotivated, that's because you don't like where you are. And that's fantastic. Right? If you are demotivated, you don't like, that means you don't like where you are. That means you want to get better. You just don't know how. And you just really don't know how to get better. And that's why you get demotivated. And only doing these three things at work, so again, work, optimization, or rest, will allow you to get better. How? Right? There's this concept. If you have read Atomic Habits by James Clear, you know what I'm about to bring up. Let me share the screen. Give me a second here. By human nature, you don't want to be where you are. That's why you got demotivated. Because you want to get better, you just don't know how. Right? But by human nature, if you keep working on something, you will want to get better. Right? And this is a concept called 1% marginal gains. Right? So this one right here. Yeah, let me actually put the link as a banner so you all can see it. I will also send it in the comment section. Oh, all right. So marginal gain is this. concept of every day that you show up to work, try to be 1% better. Just 1%. Just 1%. Let me show you how little that is. If the first day you show up to work and you said, the first day you show up to work and you said, you know what, I don't really want to work today, right? I don't really want to work today. I will just work for 10 minutes. And the rest of the days at work, you will just sleep and eat, right? Let me say that again, right? If the first day you show up to work, you really don't want to do anything. You just work for 10 minutes, and then the rest of the time you just sleep and eat, right? Sleep and eat. But the next day you show up, you're like, you know what? I want to be 1% better, right? So the first day you show up, let me show you the calculation, I guess. The first day you show up, you worked for 10 minutes only, right? And then you slept for the rest of the time. The second day you show up, you said, I want to be 1% better. So you work on your stuff for 10 minutes and 0.1 minutes, right? 0.1 minutes is 6 seconds, man. You can just like breathe in real deep. That's 6 seconds right there. And then you can go sleep, right? And you're like, oh, I'm 1% better, right? All good. The third day you show up, you're like, I need to be 1% better on the third day as well, right? So then you go 1% better than 10.1, right? Because the first day you went 10. The second day was 10.1. So the third day is 1% better from 10.1, right? And then you keep doing that, right? You keep doing that every single goddamn year. Every single goddamn day for a year, right? Within a year, you'll be working 6 hours straight. 6 hours straight every single day. 6 hours. And that's a lot of hours, right? That's a lot of work hours. I can tell you right now that you can't work in a concentrated manner for longer than 4 hours per day, because that would just kill your mind, right? That's when you switch to optimization. But we will not talk about that during this episode. I'm just saying 1% better every day is one hell of a fantastic and powerful weapon, right? So let me tell you this story. So there was this British cycling team, right? This is a national team back in 2003, right? They were bad. They were so bad. They were so bad that some of the bike manufacturers, right, refused to sell them the bike because when they suck, it's gonna reflect poorly on the brand, right? They were just like, "Oh, British national team, you will not use our bike because you are so terrible. Like your athletes suck," right? And then the coach came in, Brailsford. The coach came in, and instead of saying, "Oh, we will revolutionize everything. We will change everything that you have done so far because obviously you guys suck. We will change everything in one go and make everything better immediately." He did not do that. He came in and then he said he wanted to do aggregation of marginal gains. So every day he showed up, he would ask his athlete to be 1% better, right? If yesterday you ride for 10 minutes, today you ride for 10 minutes and 6 seconds. If yesterday you missed your sleep by 1 hour, today you go to bed 1% earlier, right? And then they keep doing that until eventually in 2 years, right? Because they sucked in 2003. Sorry, not 2 years. In 2008, right? The British cycling team dominated the road and track cycling events at the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing. Dominated. That just means killing everyone because they were so good. That's just 5 years, right? 5 years of every single day just go in and just 1% better, 1% better, 1% better, right? And that, people, It's the wonderful magic of just showing up. Just showing up and demand yourself to be 1% better every single fucking day. And you will get better. And you know what happened to me was exactly this story. Every day I would show up to the lab, regardless of whether I wanted to work or not. Every day I would show up to the gym, regardless of whether I want to work out or not. And every day just ask myself to be 1% better. It's 1% is really nothing, right? And then the magic happened after a while, right? After every single day of showing up and forcing myself to either work, optimize, or rest, and 1% better every day. I still remember that moment. There was one day that I got into the lab, immediately jumped into the bench and started working immediately and actually enjoyed doing it. Why? Because at that point, I was actually knowledgeable in what I was doing because I have spent time working on it. Right? I spent a lot of time working on it. My work environment was fantastic because I spent a lot of time optimizing it, and I'm well rested because every single time I wanted to rest, I rest. Right? So at that point, I started to have fun with the work, and then the work productivity just accelerated from there, like very very quickly. And from that point that I realized I started to enjoy work until graduation only took a year. All right. So I could have done that like 3 years ago and graduated early, but I didn't. So, but everybody has their own way of dealing with uh, depression, I guess. And my way of doing it was buying a motorcycle, which is like not a good way of doing it. So yeah, just showing up, work, optimize, or rest only, and then eventually it just kind of get better. It's just like losing weight. All right, if you have trouble losing weight, don't give up. Well, if you want to lose weight, right? That's nothing wrong with being overweight if you're happy. I'm not saying everyone should be thin, skinny, and fit or whatever, but if you do want to lose weight, it's the same thing. You have to show up regardless of whether you want to do it or not. And then you just kind of have to just do it. And this happened to me as well. I was like, obviously I'm a physicist, man. I got PhD in physics. I was a nerdy ass kid. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't work out at all. And then I remember when I was 17, I was like, I need to start working out because I was not fit at all. Like I couldn't walk without being tired. And every day from then on, I just kept showing up. I just kept showing up to the gym. I'm still showing up to the gym every day. I just ran for 4 hours this morning, right? Because from that day, when I was 17, up until now, every single goddamn day I showed up to the gym. And then I just said, hey, 1% better, 1% better, 1% better, right? So that's the key. There's one more thing that I want to leave you with before I'm done with you guys for today, because I don't want to yell at you too much. You might just run away. Another thing that I did was I joined a fire station as a volunteer firefighter. Right. This has nothing to do with physics. This has nothing to do with physics, obviously. Right. But this happened right after the motorcycle part. Right? I bought a motorcycle, realized it wasn't working, so I joined a fire station because I wanted to be a firefighter. Right. And then actually that turned out to be one of the factors that got me back into study physics as well. Because when you are a graduate student, it feels like your entire life is tied to your study, right? And then when your study just kind of goes poorly, you just feel depressed and you don't want to do anything else, right? And I had that same episode like I told you. So I joined the fire station to try to be a firefighter. I actually became like a full-fledged firefighter, fighting fire and saving lives and all that. I learned how to cook real well. So I made like souffle and shit, which was fantastic. So the point of this story is this. Sometimes it feels like being terrible at your study is your entire world. right? Branch out, find your other interests, and let your other interests spark your joy again, right? Make you happy again. Because I was like a goddamn fantastic firefighter, right? And so at that point, my physics study was shit, but I was like a fantastic fucking firefighter. So at that point, my self-esteem went, oh my God, I'm actually worth something, right? Because I could be this like great and fantastic firefighter. It's like I was the lieutenant of the crew. Meanwhile, my physics study was kind of shit. So I was like, well, maybe I'm not that stupid, right? Maybe I'm not that stupid. Maybe I just need to motivate myself to work on this thing a little more because I'm not actually stupid. Because I could be a really good cook and I could be a really good firefighter. So obviously, I have brain. Is what I was trying to say. So branch out, find your other interests, right? Be it language, be it music, be it sports, cuisine, show, singing, dancing, whatever, man. Just find your other interests. Do not be one dimensional with your life, right? That's one of the things that I always tell my graduate students, right? Do not be one dimensional because I guarantee you all of the best people in the world are so multi-dimensional. It's not even funny. Like Steve Jobs, for example, if you know him, like he's a fantastic typographer. Like those are the people that design fonts, right? He's a fantastic architecture. If you have seen his draft, you know what I'm talking about. On top of being a good CEO, he's a shit person personal wise, but my point is that if you feel like your study is just shit, do not let that ruin your life, man. Go out and live a life. Have a girlfriend, have a boyfriend, have multiple girlfriends, multiple boyfriends. Who care, right? Live your life. Do not just be depressed and just watch Netflix all day, because that shit is not going to help anything. คุณแทน hi. Have you ever felt less motivated in doing research as there are some new topics that make you hook up to? Lately, I felt quite distracted by other topics that it make me slow down my progress. Yes, absolutely. And so after that episode, this is what happened to me, right? So obviously, I'm into crypto now, but before this, I was doing atomic physics for my PhD. Right. And then I was doing disaster management for a while. And then when crypto happened, when I was doing atomic physics, I was kind of not letting myself be interested in it too much because I felt like it was distracting. Right. What a big mistake. I should have skipped. I should have jumped ship. I should have changed. One of the things that I have learned is to always follow your curiosity wherever it takes you. Because that is where you're gonna develop your skills the most, right? Because obviously if it distracts you so much that you don't want to do whatever you're doing anymore, that means you're so passionate about it, right? If you're so passionate about it, jump, right? Jump and go study new things, because even if you have jumped and you feel like that thing is not as interesting as you think, well, guess what? Your main research is always going to be there waiting for you, right? For you to come back. That's nothing to lose here, right? So that's if somebody asks me like, what do I regret the most in my life? Not the most, like, what are some of the things that I regret in my life? Well, I would say I don't regret anything usually, because my life is my life. It is what it is. But not jumping ship, not following my curiosity is probably one of the things that I would say I should have done more. Right? I should have done more. I should have followed my curiosity more. I should have studied a third language when I felt like I wanted to do it, rather than when I started, which was like, only 3 or 4 years ago. I should have started it like 10 years ago when I thought that I should have started the third language. Yeah, but always follow your curiosity. But then it's also scary, because as soon as you said, oh, I am in physics right now, but I want to do a research in crypto, especially if you're in Thailand, because Thailand education sucks. I'm sorry for all of you, but Thai education sucks because you are surrounded by pessimistic people, right? Except me, because I just want to yell at you. You're always surrounded by pessimistic people. If you are a physicist, for example, like me, and you said, from now on, I want to do a research in crypto. These are the shit that you're going to hear from those people. They're going to be like, oh, you didn't graduate from this field of study, or you can't do this. You have to keep doing physics. Or how are you going to catch up with the other people that started to do research before you do? Because you have been doing physics, just keep doing physics. Or three, or that field of study is so far apart from physics, you're never going to make any contribution. Right? So these are what you're going to hear, maybe even from your advisors. Fuck them. Just fucking ignore them. Follow your curiosity, right? Because that's where your skills are going to get developed the most, because you are obviously passionate about it. Well, fucking him is like, just say fuck him is probably not the best of the advice. It depends on where you are with your degrees. Like, if you have to finish your degree, obviously you can't just be like, I'm in physics, I'm going to do crypto now. You can't do that. But if you are a career person, right, and you have choices on what to do, and if somebody tells you not to do something, that is usually their insecurity just being reflected on you. Like, when they say you can't do it, that means they think that they cannot do it. So they don't want you to be able to do it, because that would prove to them that they have been lazy, right? So just their own insecurities. Just always follow your curiosity, and it will lead you to great and wonderful places, just like it had done with me. That would be my recommendation for that questions, I suppose. But again, this is my own personal story, right? This is what worked for me. This might or might not work for you. One thing that I have that some of you might not have is that I don't really take into account other people's opinions of me too much. And that allows me to just bounce whenever somebody tells me that I shouldn't do something. If I want to do it, I would just do it. Right? I have like 6 of you watching me right now. Right? If I was the kind of person that care about what other people think of me, I would have stopped doing this series a long time ago, because obviously people are not watching it. But do not do it for other people, right? Do it for yourself. And that comes back to your study, your graduate study as well, right? If you want to do a PhD and you want to stay motivated, you can't be doing it for your parents. You can't be doing it for your boyfriend or girlfriend. Do not let them tell you that you should get a PhD because you will get that doctor in front of your name and it will look really good, because then you will be living their life, not your life, right? And that was one of my greatest strengths. I think I just said, like, I don't care what other people think of me. I'll just do whatever the fuck I want, including saying fuck in the official page of the university as one of the lecturers. So seriously, don't just, follow your own desire is what I'm going to say. I'm probably going to get fired after this episode, but whatever, who cares, right? Anyway, staying motivated again, never ever think that you are stupid. You just feel that way. You are not actually stupid. You just feel that way, right? Everyone will go through tough times during graduate studies at some point. And it's really not bad to be going through tough times, because that means you want to get better. You just don't know how to get better, right? So talk to your friends, get that emotional support that you need from the people in your program, from the people in your university, or some of your advisors. Or come talk to me. Like, shit, come talk to me, man. Like, I have been through where you are. Most people just not open about their past shitty story. I have no shame, right? Just come talk to me here. Here's a line group, right? If you want to get connected with me, just scan the QR and join the GSD line group and just be like, hey, Tanwa, I feel like shit. Can I talk to you? And I promise that I will talk to you if I have time. Anyway, get that emotional support. And again, the most important thing is to show up to that thing that you're working on, right? Whether it's a lab, whether it's a computer, whether it's modeling, whatever. Just show up to work every single day. And you have three options, right? Work, optimizing, or rest. Don't go on Netflix. Don't go on YouTube. And then lastly, if you still feel like shit, go live a life, right? Your study is not your whole life. Go do something that interests you. Go sing, go dance, go on a date, go eat at a fancy restaurant, start learning how to cook, start learning how to ride a horse, sailing, a lot of things. Like life is wonderful. And once you get good at doing other stuff, then you will start to realize that you are actually quite a wonderful person that you are. All right. And with that, thanks all of you for joining me today. And this is GSD Part 2, Day 8. I will see you again every Friday from 1:30 to 2:30 as I give you more personal stories from my past experience of being a dumb and stupid graduate student, which hopefully will help some of you to have a better life than me as graduate student here at your university. All right. As for today, thank you all for joining me today, and I will see you again next week.